Recording has started.
So welcome everyone to this virtual community meeting to discuss NPA 2023-0024.01. You can let us know who is here by typing your name and organization in the chat box. I will use this as the sign-in sheet. Please mute your microphone if you're joining by phone, and please turn off your video if you're participating online to save bandwidth. This meeting is being recorded and will be publicly posted to the publicinput.com/neighborhood plan amendment cases website. If you do not want your image viewed publicly, please turn off your camera. Having a recording problem. Okay, I'm gonna have to not use that button. I don't know why it's not working anymore. So this property is in the North Burnet Gateway neighborhood planning area. Mark Walters is the meeting facilitator tonight. I am Marie Meredith. I am the plan amendment case manager. The agenda tonight, I'll go over basic case information, guidelines for group discussion, how to participate in this process, why is there a plan amendment application, what is a future land use map. I'll do, after my presentation, Dave Anderson, the applicant's representative, will give a presentation, and then we will open the floor to questions and answers. At this time, we don't have any participants, but there might be some at the time we end our presentations. Case information, property addresses are 11900 and 11901 Hobby Horse Court, and 11945 and a half and 11947 and a half Burnet Road. Property area is about 21.252 acres. Again, the plan amendment case number is NPA 2023-0024.01. Project name is Radius at the Domain. The request is to change the future land use map from mixed use to high density mixed use. There is no associated zoning case filed. Property owner applicant is that Orlando? Is that it?
Ariano.
Ariano Holdings, LLC. Dave Anderson is the applicant's agent. He's from the Dreamer Group. So since there's no participants, I don't feel I need to go over all the details of the guidelines for group discussion. How to participate in this process. As I mentioned, the meeting is being recorded and will be posted to this publicinput.com/neighborhood plan amendment cases tomorrow morning. People can email or call me with any questions that you have regarding the application. You can provide written comments that will be included in the staff case report. When the case is scheduled for Planning Commission City Council, if you live within 500 feet, you will get a notice in the mail with a date, time, and location of the public hearings. So why is there a plan amendment? Plan amendment neighborhood plans are adopted by City Council as amendments to the Imagine Austin Comprehensive Plan. And the city charter requires zoning changes to be consistent with the comprehensive plan. Most neighborhood plan amendments are amendments to a future land use map, also called the plan. This map shows the areas that have City Council approved neighborhood plans, which are shown in blue on the map. City Council approved neighborhood plans have a plan document like the North Burnet Gateway, where it has the vision and goals and recommendations for the planning area. Most planning areas have a future land use map, as shown here, which is the North Burnet Gateway future land use map. And the colors represent broad land uses. For example, mixed use and high density mixed use represents land uses that would be a mix of residential and commercial. Industry is shown in purple, civic in blue, and recreation, open space in the green color. This is a zoomed in part of the future land use map where the property is located. It is the light brown, which is mixed use. And the request is for high density mixed use, which is the dark brown seen on the map. This is an aerial photo that shows the property as it's outlined and shaded in blue. This is a Google map that shows some of the surrounding uses to the property. Again, an aerial photo map of the future land use map, again, showing the light brown and the dark brown to the south, which is the high density mixed use. And the zoning map that shows the property is currently zoned within the North Burnet Gateway neighborhood planning area. The Imagine Austin comprehensive plan has a growth concept map, and these colors represent regional centers, town centers, neighborhood centers, and activity corridors. So the property is located within the North Burnet Gateway Station, which is a regional center within the comprehensive plans for a concept map. And this shows the property in proximity to public transportation. You can see the Metro Rail and some bus routes along Burnet Road and some surrounding routes along adjacent streets. So that ends my presentation. I will stop sharing my screen. And if Dave has a presentation, you can start yours.
Thank you, Maureen. Let's see if I can do this effectively. But can you see that?
Yes.
So much of my presentation will mirror Maureen's. We're here to talk about potential neighborhood plan amendment. As Maureen showed you, there are two tracks separated by Hobby Horse Court. This is an overall site location map. You'll see Mopac to the west. You'll see the Cap Metro red line abutting the property to the east. Galt Lane to the south and Gracie Farms Lane to the north. And on the western boundary, the property abuts Burnet Road. This is the current site land use per the city's GIS, apartments and condos on our property to the north, to the east, to the south. You'll see in the pink office and mixed use that is associated with a project called Uptown ATX. To the west, you'll also see mixed use development. To the southwest there, you'll see the Domain. To the east, you'll see office, that's the Schwab campus, and then you'll see Parks and Greenbelt to the north. What's I'd like to point out here is there is no single family residential shown anywhere near the property. And that fits with the overall idea of North Burnet Gateway area being referred to as a second downtown. The existing future land use map, this is from the city's GIS. Maureen's presentation showed it a little bit more starkly, but I've labeled how the current future land use map reads. You'll see our property is currently mixed use, but properties to the south, west, and east of our property are high density mixed use. You also see mixed use future land use to the north and northeast, and then to the north of that is the Walnut Creek Recreation and Open Space. Again, this is important when you think about buffering between uses outside of what's shown on the screen here. The change on our property from mixed use to high density mixed use, there will still be a buffer from as far as the future land use map goes to the north and to the east. But we are consistent with other high density mixed use areas. As Maureen showed you, this is the zoning map that shows that the property is within the North Burnet Gateway regulating plan, neighborhood plan area. This is a slide that talks about the history of North Burnet Gateway. Since 2006, many city councils, while they don't agree on much, they have agreed that significant density and the highest intensity development center is appropriate for this area. And you'll see the progression from 2006 to 2023 of those initiatives, if you will. You'll see on the bottom right, you'll see the radius neighborhood plan amendment, which is what we're here to talk about. Something that's interesting to think about is you've seen the city council over the past 2.5 years really begin to look at the entitlements, the base level entitlements within North Burnet Gateway Regulating Plan area, and really consider and take action on increasing those entitlements from a density perspective. So it's been very consistent for 17 years. How's my math? 17 years that this is a place where we want walkable, highly dense areas outside of downtown. As Maureen showed you, this is the tan blob is the North Burnet Gateway station area. It is the most intense listed in the Imagine Austin Comprehensive Plan. You'll see our property within those boundaries pretty solidly. I wanted to point out that there is a new Uptown ATX rail station currently in the site planning process. They expect to receive a site permit this year for that station, which is just about 0.3 of a mile from the property. So when you think about walkability, density, things that would support high density mixed use, this is a big component of that. And it's important to recognize that. So we feel that the change from mixed use to high density mixed use is very, very appropriate for these parcels. Some property details, again, another picture that Maureen shared, but it's really important. So there's currently 400 units in 20 buildings on the property. It's about 21.25 acres. From a transit perspective, you'll see it's pretty busy from a transit and transportation perspective. Metro Rail is there 0.3 of a mile away. The red line urban trail, the dashed line in the brown running north to south along the red line exists to the north of the property, and to the south of the property is within the site plans that have been developed as part of the Uptown ATX program. So individuals that live on the property currently and any future redevelopment that takes place will have access to the Red Line Urban Trail, which is bike pedestrian friendly for all ages and abilities, to the Metro Rail station. There's also bus lines, and not far away, there is also the Metro Rapid line. So good bus access, which again supports the idea of high density mixed use. As far as future development goes, there are no plans to impact tenants at this time. I'm really happy to be associated with an owner that sent out letters to all the current tenants and the Graciewood Neighborhoods Association leadership prior to the neighborhood plan amendment even being filed, to let them know that nothing was imminent, but to let them know what was going on. Transparency and honest conversations, they are important to us. What will happen in the future? We don't know at this point, but it would likely be a higher density mixed use project consistent with what's happening around us, especially to the west and south. When future development happens, if and when future development happens, it is very, very likely, almost assuredly, that a zoning change will be required. And as part of that zoning change, the applicant will have to comply with tenant notifications, as well as tenant relocation ordinances that are on the books currently with the city. We want to acknowledge that up front. The flood map change, again, apologize for the colors, but these were the colors that were on the city GIS, is from mixed use to high density mixed use. This is a description, I won't read it all, of what mixed use is and what high density mixed use is from city reports on neighborhood planning. What I would like to point out is in the blue text on the lower right, and I'll read that. The North Burnet Gateway area is known as the second downtown, and City Council has recently undertaken numerous amendments to the regulating plan to increase density throughout the district to reflect this status as a second downtown. The request for high density mixed use is consistent with the surrounding land uses and the goals of neighborhood plans and the Imagine Austin Comprehensive Plan. I've taken some quotes from the North Burnet Gateway neighborhood plan. I'll just leave those up on the screen for a minute. But everything that's discussed here and contemplated in that plan fits with the idea of these parcels being considered from a land use perspective as high density mixed use. Gracie Woods Neighborhood Association neighborhood plan has some local priorities that they have identified. Again, nothing that we are proposing to do as far as changing the future land use map would negatively impact those local priorities. Imagine Austin goals. The Imagine Austin Comprehensive Plan was completed in 2012 and identified probably 100 goals of this type. I have selected a subset of those just to highlight the fact that what we are proposing to do is in fact consistent with the Imagine Austin Comprehensive Plan. So our request is for a future land use map amendment from mixed use to high density mixed use. And these are some of the reasons why we think this is a reasonable request. It's consistent with the Gracie Woods neighborhood plan. It's consistent with North Burnet Gateway regulating plan goals, consistent with the Imagine Austin Comprehensive Plan. The land use is consistent with surrounding uses. We are buffered by at least a half mile from single family, and that even those closest single family homes are across railroad tracks and on the other side of a major office campus, the Schwab campus. We're in an area located by Capital Metro bus service. We're within 0.3 of a mile of Metro rail station, and we're right on the Red Line Urban Trail Network, Red Line Trail. We're a 1/4 mile from the Walnut Creek Greenbelt. Again, we're on the Urban Trail Network, the Red Line Trail. And from a parkland perspective, any future development, nothing we do today is going to impact our requirement or a future applicant's requirement to comply with parkland dedication requirements. From a tenant protection perspective, again, we want to say it again. There are no plans to impact current tenants. There's not a zoning case pending. We just, as folks may or may not know, neighborhood plan amendments can happen once a year. And so we took the opportunity, given the amount of change that's happening and focus that the council has on this area, the North Burnet Gateway area. We wanted to go ahead and file this neighborhood plan amendment application when we could, the one time a year that we could. If any project is brought forward, it'll probably include higher density mixed use. We don't know how dense. We don't know what that means because we don't have a project yet. The future project will likely require a zoning change, like I stated before, including tenant notifications, tenant relocation compliance, but our timeline is unknown. From an affordable housing perspective, if any future development triggers bonus provisions for height and floor to area ratio, affordable housing will be required per the rules in the North Burnet Gateway regulating plan area. From a timeline perspective, we submitted the neighborhood plan amendment on or about March 7th. Tonight, we're conducting the city hosted neighborhood plan amendment meeting. We're hoping to go to Planning Commission in August and follow that up with City Council in September. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Dave. Since There's no one from the public in attendance. Maureen, can you put up once again the contact information for your contact information for anyone viewing who might be interested in making a comment that could be included in the case report. So here is Maureen's contact information. She can be reached either by phone or by email. And with that, we will end the meeting. Stop.